Hello, everybody. This is Anthony. Be honest, from Mission Start Podcast, and another week, another convention. Although this convention has been long done for the past couple weeks, yeah. So I'm talking about TwitchCon, but I'm not alone this time. No, joining me, the fellow Twitch streamer slash does RuneScape slash is pretty good at Magic the Gathering. We have Cameron joining us today.
Hi. I actually don't do RuneScape though. Met
Uh,
up with the RuneScape guys, but yeah, I do mostly Magic the Gathering.
Oh, I was thinking of Minecraft. Sorry, I tuned in your.
Yeah, a little bit of
Yeah,
Minecraft. A little bit
sorry.
of Minecraft now. I just started getting back into it. It's a lot of fun, but yeah,
Yeah.
I met a few people there that actually followed me from the Minecraft community and just kind of got to talking to them, got the itch back, and now I'm streaming Minecraft again. So
Mhm.
that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I saw it a little bit earlier this morning on my way to school. But yeah, like, thank you for coming on to podcast to talk about TwitchCon.
Well, thank you for having me.
So now TwitchCon was a convention that was announced. I think it was last year, maybe this past year, from Twitch, to be hosted in San Francisco. I had when it was initially announced, my friend or my coworker tells me like we gotta go. I was like, all right, sure, whatever. I have no idea how TwitchCon was going to be about. I because I've been to so many other conventions over the years of covering them. It's completely new and it's completely something different than what I'm expecting. Just out of curiosity, like what ideas are kind of going through your head when it was initially announced?
When it was initially announced, I was like, I don't see how this would have anything to do with me. I don't understand what they're like. And I'm a streamer, and I looked at it and I was like, why would I go to this? Part of that is like the Magic community on Twitch is very segregated in a way. Like people that watch Magic, they don't watch anything else. They just want to watch Magic, and like more than most other streams, I think. The big streamer in Magic, he pulls like 2,500 viewers,
Mm.
but he only has 20,000 followers,
Hmm.
which is like just absurd. Another guy that I met at like the people that I know at TwitchCon, like one of them has 42,000 followers. He gets like 300 viewers. Like
Yeah.
it's so out of proportion. But like nobody bothers to follow because they're just like, I'm just gonna go to Magic and I'm just gonna go and watch the streamers that I like. So I didn't know a lot of people outside of like the Twitch community, like outside of the Magic community in Twitch. So I didn't feel like a part of the Twitch community. So I wasn't sure like why I'd want to go, and I was kind of like, well, I guess you're gonna meet personalities, but I don't really know people, and like, are they gonna showcase games? But it didn't seem like they were going to, so I wasn't sure like what they were gonna do beyond meet and greet. So I really didn't know what to expect going into it. I wasn't supposed to go actually originally. I decided not to. I thought that it was a for sure pass for me. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of interesting.
It definitely was. Yeah, I had no idea how this convention would come out. And it was funny leading up to it. Like, if I remember correctly, like one of the staff from Anime Expo criticized TwitchCon. I'm not sure it was in a post or in an article I read on Kotaku, but basically saying like, how is this convention going to work? You know, he just basically just poo-pooing the idea of Twitch having a convention altogether, since it's so different and it's based around streaming. And it was a combination of like having a place where streamers can meet their fans, networking, and a bit of gaming, like combined, alongside like a few other like press conferencing stuff. So it was an interesting combination of those things. For me, I mean, like, let's start from like the day one. So the first thing I initially saw when I first got to TwitchCon is a huge line just to get in to TwitchCon, and that was like around like what 8, 9 in the morning, and there was already like a long line forming. It was crazy. Yeah, what was like, what time did you get to TwitchCon on day one?
I got there, I think I got there at about 8:30. I was a little different because I actually ended up having an exhibitor pass. Because
Gotcha.
I was streaming for Doctors Without Borders, so I was part of their team.
Mm-hmm.
So I came in with an exhibitor pass, and I could basically come and go like right from 8 o'clock. So it was kind of nice. So I just like totally skipped the line, went straight in. But I did get like I went and filmed and looked at the line outside and took some photos of it because yeah, it was crazy. I first came and I haven't been to a lot of conventions or anything, so I wasn't sure what to expect. And for TwitchCon especially, just because for me, when I was thinking of it as like a fan of Twitch, because I'm a little bit different than a lot of the Magic community where I actually do watch a lot of other Twitch streamers.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of thought, well, I didn't see anything for it for me as a fan of Twitch so much. Not enough to go to a convention because I'm like, well, it'd be cool to meet some people. But I mean, it's just like a quick meet and greet, and then I don't know what else I'd do for the rest of the day. So I wasn't sure it was really worth the travel and all that kind of stuff. So I was just surprised at how many people were coming because I was like, this is either going to be like a smash hit because I have no idea, or it's just going to totally flop. And so I was expecting one or the other, and I guess that it just sided on the smash hit side because the lineup was absolutely crazy. It was so long.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I was really glad that I could get in there early because I was like, oh my god, if I had to wait in this line, I'd be so mad. It was bad. Like it was a really long lineup, and I was surprised at how early it started because, like you said, I mean, I got there at like 8:30, and I could already take pictures of it going around the block. Like it was a long line.
I was surprised too on how many people attended this convention. I mean, for a lot of us, you know, it was like again like a big question. We're like, well, what exactly is this convention going to provide and going to show? And I think for many people with that curiosity, like it brought in a lot of people to check it out. And it definitely was a smash hit, and it definitely was, you know, a lot of people coming in to check it out for the first time and curious as we were. The one thing I've noticed, so I get in line, you know, I get my free Kappa shirt, which is great. And the thing that I first noticed is that everybody there at the convention is either attendee, a streamer, exhibitor, you know, or you know, part of the game industry. And it seems like every other person I ran into like had a business card and like was networking like crazy. So that was the first thing that kind of stood out to me when I first got to TwitchCon, and just how that kind of I learned in those 2 days is like I freaking have like tons of like business cards right here on my desk of just like people I've met and we've exchanged just cards, just like continuing in that process. What was the first thing that stood out to you when you got there?
Yeah, I got a stack of business cards. It's like a book. Like it's crazy. It was amazing how many people showed up with them, and like people that you just wouldn't expect. Everybody thought they would just like that was their chance to make it big, is what it felt like. I think that what stood out to me was the line first, just because I wasn't sure, and I thought that it might just be a total flop and it might be really quiet.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that what stood out to me was just how kind of where the convention went, because I think that it ended up being, it was before I came there, I had no idea what it was going to be about, and I think that you're right, like that maybe it was a smash hit just because they really hit that sweet spot of like everybody was like, what is this convention going to be? And so everybody kind of wanted to see it just to figure it out even. But with what I noticed was, like you said, the networking. And a lot of people that I was going through the crowds and stuff and listening to the conversations were like, if they were fans, like just attendees, a lot of them were kind of like, oh, like, what do we do now? And they were kind of not sure what to do next because they'd run out of stuff to do. Like, even day one, by the end of the day, there was a lot of people that were like, yeah, do you want to go back to, like, floor one and play some of that game again? I don't know what else to do. And they just kind of ran out. Like, it seemed like they didn't have enough cool stuff to do. Not that they hated it, but, like, it did feel very much like a convention that was geared specifically towards the streamers meeting other streamers.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came home and I kind of thought about it and discussed it a little bit, too, with my wife, because we're both photographers, we've been to Photoshop World a few times. And it's just a big photography convention in Vegas every year. And immediately it was like, yeah, I realized this is Photography World. This is Photoshop World. This is like all of the industry professionals. This isn't a convention for the fans for the most part. Like, if you're a really big fan, you want to meet your favorite streamer or whatever, yeah, I mean, those people came. But, like, the people that really enjoyed it, that, like, loved every second of TwitchCon, were all of the people that were in the industry. all the people that were like streaming or wanted to stream, or they were like showing off their game or things like that. All of those kinds of people love TwitchCon. It was the best thing ever. It was like lots of networking. Everybody had cards. It was just like big party for all of those people, and like this chance to kind of let loose and talk about, shop talk, which you normally don't get to talk to anybody because you're just in your room by yourself. You don't meet other streamers. You don't meet anybody else that does what you do. And
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't realize how big of a thing that was until you like go up to people and they're like, oh, what are you here for? And you're like, yeah, well, I'm a streamer. Because you're so used to people that like, if you mention it, you're like, okay, streaming is this thing on Twitch. I sit in front of a computer. Yes, people watch me do this. Like, you have to explain all this stuff to people, and they're always like incredulous, and they're trying to figure out what you do and why you do it, and they're like, and people pay you, and you're like, yeah, sometimes people don't. What? How would donate to this? Why are people watching you? How many people watch you? Oh my god. And you just get like all these kinds of questions like that. So you just kind of like, you almost get this defeatist attitude the minute that somebody asks you. Mm-hmm. But there was like, somebody would ask you that, and then you'd be like, oh, I'm a streamer. Oh my god, you're streaming. What's your channel? How many people do you have? Do you like, what do you stream? What do you like streaming? And it was just like this big runaway conversation that instantly everybody loved. And they're like, it just really caught on. And once the day started really rolling, like halfway through the day, yeah, you'd instantly, like, you just go up to people and you'd be like, hey man, like, what are you here for? Are you like, who do you like watching? What do you like watching? And everyone would just start talking right away, and it felt less awkward. Mm-hmm. A lot easier to get into conversations.
Yeah, definitely. To kind of paint a picture of where this convention was held at. So it was held in San Francisco at the Moscone West building in downtown San Francisco. They had 3 floors. The first floor was generally getting your badge, as well as the doors into the bigger room, which led into like the trade show part of it, where game developers showing off their new games, or you get combined with indies, combined with like equipment, just kind of showing off their new stuff people can try out, much like an E3 or PAX Prime.
And the merch counter.
Oh my god.
The merch counter.
Okay, so there was a merch counter at the very back of floor 1 in the room. I do not understand why it was so long for people to want to get Twitch stuff. I mean,
they need to triple the size of that thing.
It was ridiculous. I was like, you would think that with all these people in, they'll be like, more occupied with the games that are being shown off that are cool and new or haven't come out yet. But no. A good part of the people were in the back of the room in this line to get Twitch stuff. And that's like just material of like whether it be like a sweater, a shirt, hats. It was nuts.
That felt like it had to be half the convention at any given point. Like everybody was there. You always got these people that were talking about the stories of like, have you been to the merch counter yet? Like it was like they'd seen something, right? They'd been there for so long. Every streamer that I knew, they were like, oh yeah, I didn't go to that. I sent one of my fans to get me stuff. They did not want to do it. They're like, anybody that I saw that had like any number of fans was like, they're like, man, did you see the merch lines? I'm like, yeah, I'm not going down there. I'm going to send somebody that like likes me to go and get it.
It was nuts. It was crazy to see that. And this was continuous on day 1. It was bigger on day 2. It was nuts. The second floor, where it was an area. It was kind of an open area on the side toward the left of the building. There were some like old school arcade cabinets that were set up. There was Street Fighter 2. There was Star Wars. There was a Soul Calibur. I think it was on one of them as well. Gauntlet. So much of kind of the classic arcade setups over there. People can go and play if they wanted to, and it was all free to play, obviously.
Tetris and yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then, like, in this area, which was kind of where you're presiding, it was an open area where it was a big PC area, like, to the right, but more to the left side or kind of center of this room. It was more about kind of technology to help your Twitch stream. Twitch Alerts was there, XSplit, Amazon was also there as well, showing off their gear. It was kind of more of a learning / it was kind of technology and programs to help your Twitch stream. And in the back also were uh, your booth that you're helping out with, like
Yeah, the charity zone is what they called
yes,
it.
the charity zone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was Tiltify, which was like this website that helps you stream and like do it for charity. Set up a big zone, and they had like all the different charities that they support. So they had like, I think it was 8 or 9. I should know this because I mean that was where I kind of lived there for the whole convention.
Right.
But yeah, there was like I think it was 8. I think it was 8 charities. They had 8 charities there, and then they had a big stage with a big screen on it and a couch and stuff, so that people could stream from there that were set up for that. So they had that, and then there was the Amazon booth to the left of that too.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And Amazon booth was really cool.
Yes. They had. It was kind of interesting because like in the Amazon booth, they had like these like custom, like pseudo rooms that you could be in and like stream from. So it looked like you were streaming from like from somebody's bedroom or on a desk, or in a classroom. So it was kind of interesting to see that. And I like Amazon playing to that crowd of streamers.
The one that I want to talk about really quickly, because the thing that killed me for the Amazon booth, that I was just like, oh man, that thing's amazing. Like there was like the oh, you're streaming from like a bedroom and all these kinds of things, and it was all like Amazon products. You could buy it and set up your stream setup and whatever. But the one that was awesome was the original Nintendo room. Did you see that?
Yes.
That thing was amazing.
Oh,
they like
so great.
I met the guy that set it up the day before because I was in on Thursday helping Doctors Without Borders set up their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he like they had like this they set it up in the style of like this retro 80s room with like the old couches. They got old magazines, they got like the remote and like the old projection screen TVs and like just everything. It was entirely 80s. It was perfect. And they had wallpaper on the sides of the walls.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy was there and he was talking to me about it and he's like, yeah, I spent all day today wallpapering this because they shipped it and it got damaged.
Oh, wow.
And so he spent 10 hours wallpapering it to get it ready.
Damn.
He wallpapered that thing for 10 hours to make it perfect.
Wow.
It looked fantastic. It was really cool.
Yeah. It definitely
That was my favorite.
It definitely was, and that was really cool. Again, Amazon playing up to the stream crowd, and it was cool. It was awesome to see that. The other things on the floor was like on the far right was like a big PC area. I think it was specifically just for H1Z1, if I'm not correctly.
World of Warships too. Half of it was World of Warships and half of it was H1Z1.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, it was huge. It was really, really big.
Mm-hmm. There was a lot of hype for that. Like every so often I would go on the second floor and I see a big crowd watching from the side. It was cool. It was definitely, a lot of, a lot of awesome stuff there. And then in the very back where the panels were being held. And, they named these panels after the emotes. So you had the Bible Thump Theater, you had Franker Z Theater, what was it?
Kappa Theater, right? Oh no, Kappa Theater was upstairs.
Yeah, the Kappa Theater was in the third floor.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, basically they had the panels in the back, and I attended some of those panels over the weekend, and those panels were actually really, really good. Like, very informative and also very entertaining. I learned a lot. I learned a lot of information out of TwitchCon, and I did not expect that to happen. But yeah, like all the panels were back there. So if you want to check out, the speedrun panel, or if you want to check out, how to market your brand on Twitch, there was panels back there, and the lines were not too long. It did fill up at times, but it wasn't too bad. Like I feel like everybody had like a seat, and there wasn't like no overcrowding at any given point. And then lastly, in the third floor, which was basically the Kappa Theater, which is like kind of the main theater for the main events, in terms of like whatever they're gonna show off. To the side, they had a few cool things actually. So before you enter the Kappa Theater, when you go to the elevators, you run into the art gallery that was there, of video game art, or other artwork that was inspired by video games. And the cool thing about that is that under each art piece, like, was a QR code. And you can scan the QR code and it'll take you to the artist's webpage. And I was like, that's actually really smart. I mean, I'm an artist myself, so it was really cool to see that. I was like, oh, wow, that's really smart of him to definitely do that.
That was one of the part. Yeah, that was when I went up and I was looking through the whole thing. That was one of the first things that caught my eye. I was like, oh man, that is a really sweet thing to have here. Like it was all just Twitch emotes done in video games and all kinds of things like that. And it was all like paintings and just digital art and just lots of really cool things. Like it was really neat. I would have never thought to see something like that at TwitchCon, and it was one of the showpieces for me. And in some ways, like there was never that many people that went to it, but I spent a few minutes there every day, like just kind of looking through all the art and sitting down and relaxing, and took a lot of pictures of it. It was really neat.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. It was really cool to see that. I kind of wish they did like a charity sale for those for
Yeah,
the
it was.
art pieces.
Yeah, when I first looked at the QR codes, I was like, oh, can you buy these? Like I was looking at them like you could, there was some way to go on a website, like there was bids or something, and no, you couldn't get them. So
Nah.
that was unfortunate. Because I looked at a few of those, I was like, I wouldn't mind a Kappa face on my wall.
I would say the same thing. There were some pretty good art pieces I would love to have, but it was really cool that they had that display. And the last thing that was there in that room was off to the side was a bar-esque type of booth setup. It was like hosted by Turtle Beach, and basically, if you wanted to, have a drink, you can go and get a drink. You couldn't leave the area, so you had to be in that certain area to drink your drink. And they had like a DJ playing music at the same time. So it was like, it was cool. I didn't go in there, but I kind of just like saw from afar. It was pretty cool to see. Providing that for people who like to drink. So that's pretty much what the layout looked like. And throughout the 2 days, the thing that started off the convention was the press conference. Like Twitch, like the first thing that it happened started was the press conference that Twitch had announcing new stuff they're adding to Twitch. Also, like they're pretty laid back on the language.
Yeah. One thing that I wanted to mention, though, just before we went into the press conference, if it's okay, was, like, because you were saying earlier about the lines into the theaters for the panels.
Right.
And it just really twigged with me that one thing that I really liked about the center and the whole way that the TwitchCon was set up is that going through, like, I looked at that huge line outside, and there was so many people, and the line was so long, and I'm like, oh, there's going to be a lot of lines for things today, and it's going to be kind of cramped and stuff, and it wasn't at all. It felt really wide open and really nice that way. Like, you weren't, like, pushing through, a bunch of people to get to places a lot of the time. Like, I liked that about it. Like, just that it felt like they had a good space for it, where everything was spaced out enough that there wasn't, like, any choke points where it felt really, nasty pushing past people and stuff like that. Like, even the escalators didn't feel too bad.
Yeah,
this is something that stood out to me.
Yeah, definitely. That's also another thing too. I mean, as long of line to look to be from the outside, it actually wasn't that crowded inside. Given it is a first year con, and a lot of people who were thinking of going were on the fence and that didn't go, were kind of curious for like what exactly this convention was going to be. As much of us went and checked it out. But yeah, it wasn't crowd. It was crowded, but it wasn't to the point where like it's body to body and like there was no choke points at any given time, unless maybe if you're getting some Twitch stuff in the back in the first floor. But aside,
the merchandise was like the exception. Besides that, it was like really everything felt really wide open and just like easy to get into things. It was not hard at all to get into like any of the booths and stuff to try out games and stuff. Like you might wait for a little while, but they weren't that bad. They were like 20, 30 minutes or something to get in a game.
Just give it a couple of years when Twitch keeps doing this, and it'll get bigger.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But, I mean, considering that, like, I thought that, and a lot of times, I mean, I'd think that a convention would err on the side of being smaller because of that, like, and picking a smaller convention center. I thought it was nice that they picked somewhere that was, like, really big, and they could handle the capacity, right? Like, they didn't have any problems, because that line outside was massive. Like, it was really big, and I was kind of like, oh, man, this is going to be a little bit of a crush of people, but it never was. It just didn't feel... It felt really nice and open, and the space was just great. So I just wanted to say that. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. No, it's fine, definitely.
Yeah, the presentation you were talking about, and, like, how they were a little loose on the language.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So the first thing I kind of, like, to Kappa Theater is basically it's if, like, they took a part of, like, E3 and put it into this convention. And like basically it was the CEO, a few of the other reps from Twitch came out to talk about Twitch, the history, and their announcements. And it was cool. I felt like I was like at A3. Like I saw, cause I was and there's press, and I sat down. I see a couple people in press, like in front of me, like typing away or just like getting out their laptops. Like, oh, should I bust out mine too? So, no, it was really cool. And these announcements already were announced, and we talked about on my show like a couple weeks ago. But basically, Twitch came out and announced some new stuff they were adding on. One of which was that they're gonna have full HTML5 video source for their Twitch players now. They're adding a playlist that you can use even if you're offline. You can play them for your channel. So technically, your channel can be like 24/7 if you wanted to. The other announcements were that they're gonna have an upload feature that you can upload videos onto Twitch. And I'm sure I'm not quite sure on on the details on that. I know it'll be on your channel, but like it was a big signal of like after all this stuff they announced that moment, it just seemed like Twitch is basically just throwing down the gauntlet like officially against YouTube.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, YouTube's trying to become Twitch, and Twitch is trying to become YouTube. They're like they're totally flipping sides. YouTube's like, oh, we're gonna launch YouTube Gaming. Twitch is like, fine, we're gonna launch Twitch YouTube.
Yeah, it's funny and ironic how this is is going about, but it's interesting to see now that we have these two big companies going at it, especially with the announcement that Twitch made. So we have to wait and see in terms of how exactly that's going to turn out, and whether who's going to win, in the long haul, or maybe just the consumer's going to win overall because like
Yep.
both of the companies are going to just trying to get better at their own service, and it's only going to better the streamer or the YouTuber. It might do both. So
Yeah, what's cool about that is just that like it kind of forces Twitch to do things like put in the HTML5 player, like that seemed to be one of those things that they kind of push through faster just because like YouTube's on that, and the actual like CPU processing and stuff that you use right now when you're using it in Flash, like a lot of people have trouble watching, and so I think that some of those moves were kind of pushed through faster because of YouTube becoming more of a threat. And so it certainly is a big win for any of the viewers and stuff like that. Small-time streamers probably too, or, well, I guess more big-time streamers. The ones that are kind of, I think, would be a little scared are people like me, where you're kind of a small-time streamer. You're starting to get into a point where it might kind of sort of be an option for a job or like a part-time job or something like that. And you're like, oh, man, I hope I'm not choosing the wrong place to do this. That's where it's a little scary, is because like if you just start growing your channel and then the other one becomes the winner, that sucks. So that's the one thing where it's a little bit like it's a little uneasy hearing like YouTube Gaming coming in and you're like, all my base is on Twitch. Should I be doing something over there? Like in a year and a half, am I gonna look at YouTube Gaming and go, oh my god, what did I do? And just feel like an idiot? Or am I if I do it the other way, am I going to be sad? So it's a little scary there, but like all the big stars it's good for them because wherever they go, their fans will follow them.
oh yeah, definitely.
And so like as the streaming gets better and like is able to, the tech gets better because they're fighting with each other, then they just win because their streams look better and better and better, and they get just kind of more mainstream advertising and things like that too.
Agreed. So time will tell in terms of how exactly this will turn out, but it was definitely drop the mic, Twitch just looking at YouTube and saying like, bring it on. It's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting to see how things turn out over time. But basically, like it was the Capitol Theater was kind of there for just announcements and other things, interviews and events. I find it funny is right after Twitch was done with, making their announcements, had their presentation about the history of Twitch and streaming in general. They went into, Blizzard comes out and talk about, StarCraft Legacy of the Void, and you just see a mass of people just like get up and leave.
Yeah,
um,
I wasn't there for that because I had to go down and do my stuff in the charity zone. So I actually left a little early. I had to leave like 20 minutes before the end of that, so I didn't get to see that. But that's pretty awesome.
it
Yeah,
was
there was a huge
yeah
flood of people that came out of there, though.
yeah it was funny because like it was, I think it was a friend person next to me. It was like, oh, StarCraft, all right, I'm out of here. So like it literally was like droves of people just stood up and just walked away, and I'm like sitting here, I was like, freaking Blizzard, man. Legacy of the Voice is awesome. So like I'm just sitting there, just kind of watching and see what they're gonna announce and showed up some new StarCraft 2 stuff. But yeah, like it then it went into their own schedule in terms of like what other stuff they were showing off as well. Um, but yeah, like after that, things got rolling. Then like I started checking other stuff, panels, and talked to some people, and all those sorts of things. I will say though, like and this is something that I think I might have brought up with somebody else, but like the funny thing about TwitchCon I felt was missing was I can't talk today. While they had stuff that catered to streamers, to fans, to help people stream, and you can play some games that have not come out yet. There wasn't a room or a dedicated place for, say, kind of a bring your own console area.
Yeah, yeah.
Or like a room just full of consoles already, so people can come in and play. Um, and it was funny because like it was a convention about streaming games, but the game part was kind of missing. There were the arcade cabinets on the second floor, and the first floor to play the new games, but you had to wait in line for those. So I kind of felt like it was missing that part to the convention.
Yeah, there was no like LAN party thing. There was broadcaster pods for the streamers, but they were like all fenced off, and you had to be a partner, and it was really hard to get into even as a partner. Like you'd have to like get there really really early and have booked it or be a really big name beforehand and stuff like that. So it was basically impossible to do anything there as far as like your own kind of gaming. There was no LAN party room or anything like that. I was really surprised about that. I brought some stuff, and I brought a data connection and things because I had gotten a week's notice about going to TwitchCon, and so it was really last minute for me.
Hmm.
And I was already involved in a streamer showdown that's something that Wizards of the Coast, who makes Magic, uh, gets me to do every once in a while. And so they'd had me scheduled, and it was for that weekend. So I was like, oh man, well, if I bring all my gear, I can actually stream from TwitchCon, right? And then I looked around, I was like, there's nowhere that I can like set up or plug in or do anything. So I kind of wasn't able to do it. So that was kind of unfortunate. I was hoping there was some way that I could get something set up, but it was partially too my data plan didn't quite work out. There was a few technical issues I ran into, but I wasn't able to do it. But I was kind of hoping that there would be something, and I kept looking through like the map and going like, there's got to be something, right? Like I must just be missing something. Like, got to have an area where you can like bring your rig and set it down and then stream, or play games with like just other people that are there. No, nothing.
Yeah, it was interesting. Maybe it's something to be considered for next year, but yeah, it was definitely one of the things I felt was missing from the convention. The other thing I felt too was, and I think I understand the reasoning why they have a 2-day convention Friday and Saturday. It's a bit odd for me just because I covered conventions in the past, and usually if it's a 2-day or 3-day convention, it would be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday and Sunday, and then everybody goes back home on Sunday night or on Monday. So it was kind of odd to see it Friday, Saturday, although
Yeah, the Friday Saturday thing threw me off. I'm interested to hear why you think they did that.
I think the reason why is because people who attended the Twitch after party gave him an excuse to rest all day Sunday. I think I understand now why the reasoning behind that.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. I think that there was a bunch of parties that I saw that went on after the after party too, like on Sunday morning and Sunday afternoon and things like that. Just like streamer parties and stuff like that people did. I heard there was like a Minecraft one, like Build Guild or something did one, and I don't know. There was a bunch of different groups that I saw like on Twitter afterwards from all the people that I kind of met at Twitch that everybody was still like, yeah, still at TwitchCon party, and I'm like, what? It's Sunday. What do you... But they like had all these after parties that were all of like streamer only or like community based kind of parties that just I don't know, somebody had set them up and brought like a space or bought a space or just had somewhere to go or whatever, and they just did these huge parties everywhere. So yeah, it kind of went on through all of Sunday too, so that was kind of interesting.
Yes, definitely. But I'm trying to think. So before we get to I think the Twitch after party, which I think you and I had a very very fun time there, to say the least. So at conventions, there's like normally like these moments where like only at a convention like these strange weird moments, or even moments like where like it was really cool that it happened. And I was wondering like did a moment for you like happen at TwitchCon? Either be like weird, funny, or cool.
There was a lot of moments like that actually. It was a whole surreal experience for me, because a lot of the people that were there that you'd want to meet for say like all the big names, right? That you kind of want to talk to and say hi to and all that kind of stuff. I know that I've always been one of those people that I don't like fanboying, and I don't like running up and bugging those people because I know that's what everybody does. And so like I always expect them to just be like, I'm done with you, I don't want to talk to you. Like sign something to move on. Like that's all I want to do. I don't really want to talk to you. Don't want to do that. Nobody was like that. Everybody seemed really open and just like nice. There was very, very few people that like if you happened to just stumble into them and like say hi, that they wouldn't just sit there and chat with you. And including a lot of people that I had no idea who they were when I first met them. Because like Twitch is huge, right?
Oh
like,
yeah, definitely.
There's so many communities, you can't know everybody. So there was like so many people that I stumbled into, and I'm like, oh hi, what are you here for? And they're like, streaming. And I'm like, oh, you're like a partner? And they're like, yeah. And I like looked them up afterwards, and I was like, oh, 250,000 followers, holy shit. Like, and so but they just be kind of like stunned that I didn't know them. But then everybody too, like, I'd be like, oh yeah, and you just start talking, and they were very open, and they're like, I would always go like, they'd be like, oh, what are you here for? And I was there to stream, but I'm a very small channel in a lot of ways, so I was like, well, I'm streaming, and I'm like, but I'm just super small, like, because like, yeah, I didn't really want to talk about that in a lot of ways, and everybody was like, no, man, it doesn't matter, like, here's my card, like, ask me if you have any questions about getting bigger, like, I had a bunch of people that did that, like, there was a Doc Got Game was a guy that I met who went on the Charity Zone stream after I did, and I just happened to take some photos because I was just doing some general like photography work because I wanted to get a good sense of the whole space, and I put together a video and everything afterwards as well. And afterwards, he was just like the nicest guy. He came down and he's like, oh, you took my picture. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm just taking everybody's picture kind of thing. I'm just doing this thing. And he's like, oh, do you stream? And he's like, I streamed your game, and we kind of chatted back and forth, and he was like, oh man, like give me, I'm going to give you my card. He's like, anytime you need anything, just let me know. I just really like seeing people get bigger, and like everybody did that. Everybody that I met that I talked to for like more than 30 seconds was like that. So I had a lot of cool moments. Like I'm a Cutie Pie was like that too. And he's somebody that's so big that it's like, you would expect him to just be done with life. Like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm tired. I don't want to see people. But when we met him at the after party, like he was just really nice to everybody. He was kind of, chill and just talking to people, and it felt like you were part of the community right away.
Oh yeah.
And that was what really, really hit me with TwitchCon. Like, I had been on the fence about going, and I actually firmly decided not to go until this opportunity came up where I was going to be actually streaming from the event. And once I actually went there, for like half of Friday, I was like, I don't know if I like this or not. And then the rest of the convention, I was like, this is the best thing I ever did. Like, it felt so good just to meet people and be a part of this community that I never realized I was a part of, because everybody felt really welcoming. And I've never been to a convention that was like so open about that. Like, I don't know about you. Like, how did you feel about that?
So it was interesting. Like I've been streaming on Twitch recently. I've been doing it more, but been something where I've been trying to stream more to add on to the website that I work for. missionstarpodcast.com. Um,
Yeah.
um,
Plug.
for me, like I wasn't sure how to. I've been to conventions, like I said, and like I always get that feeling that everybody's very friendly. Everybody you come up to and talk to easily. And there's definitely different groups within each convention that is like that. It is not. Twitch, it seemed like the atmosphere in TwitchCon was like everybody was very supportive of each other. Like nobody was sad or mad or bummed out or anything. No, everybody was really happy. I've seen so many smiles out of that convention from so many people, and like it was really cool. The people like seeing generally having fun and not having to worry about anything at all. And it was cool seeing them meet their the streamers that they watch. It was probably like for them or for anybody who was attending, like who was a fan or who was a streamer, it felt like it was like Disneyland for a lot of these people.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was weird for me.
It was so weird for me. It was so weird because like I hung out with all these people. And like one of the really whoa moments for me was I met Dead Pine, who I don't know if you know.
I do not, but go on.
He's a Minecraft streamer. I didn't know who he was either when I met him. He's a Minecraft streamer. He has like 42,000 followers or so. So he's fairly big. Like he's got quite a following. He's a big streamer. So I happened to meet him, and it was because one of the Magic streamers that was there called me over. The big one. His name's Kenji, and he was like, "Hey Cam, like come over and meet Deadpine." I'm like, "Oh, hi, who are you?" And he's like, "Oh, hi Cam, I know you." And I'm like, "You know me?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I watch you all the time. Like I follow your channel and all this stuff." And I'm like, "What? Who are you?" I'm like, do you have a channel of your own?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, like I'm Deadpine." And gave me kind of talked about himself, and I like looked at his stuff and I was like, "Holy crap, you follow me?" So like I made this really good friend who he was like this big fan of mine. He's like, "I love your stream. Like I love when you do this and that." And he was talking to me, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's awesome." Because I mean, he's got 42,000 followers. I'm sitting here at like 2,700 or something, and I'm like, "Yeah, okay, you're gonna talk to me and think that I'm this cool guy." And everybody was like that though. Like you just mentioned that you were streaming, they were like, "Oh, that's cool. Like, what do you stream?" And like, how many people watch you? And if it happened to be a few amount, like nobody was like, oh, you don't have anybody watching you. Like there's never that feeling of like looking down on you. You'd be like, oh, I get like 10, 20 viewers. I do happen to get quite a bit more than that. Like I get a couple hundred a lot of the time. But like you get like 20 people. Even if you did say like, oh, well, if I play other games, I'll get 20 people. They'd be like, no, that's cool. Like, did you have a good fan base though? Like, did they like what you do? And they just talk to you about that. And it was, I don't know, that whole thing was really surreal. Like meeting all these people I didn't expect to, and I didn't know that some of the big Magic streamers would be there. So I kind of met a lot of the people that are big in my own community on Twitch too. So yeah, it was neat that way. The people were all just very welcoming and open. Everybody just seemed so happy from that. For like a week and a half afterwards, all the people that I met at TwitchCon, because I didn't bring business cards because I wasn't thinking ahead like that.
Right.
Well, I didn't know what to expect, and I mean, I also had a week, so I didn't have time to like think of a design and make cards and do that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But afterwards, like with all the cards and then adding everybody on Twitter and stuff, for a week and a half afterwards, my Twitter was just flooded with all the streamers going like, "Man, coming back from TwitchCon, so hyped to do the stream." Like everybody felt like really re-energized.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I kind of feel like the reason why this was such a hit for the streamers, at least, like I can't speak to the fans as much, but for the streamers, it was like just this smash hit out of this world kind of experience, which was just so amazing. Mm-hmm. And I think that it was because everybody's so used to being in their own little world with their channel, and like maybe they know other people through Twitch, and like a lot of them actually, and a lot of them even will Skype together or like raid each other all the time and do those kinds of things where they'll meet each other and they'll know each other like as colleagues, and they really are like, oh man, I wish I could meet this person. Like I'm a really big, like we'd be friends, like we're really good friends and we kind of work together on the same thing and we're always helping each other out and doing different things, but they never meet. They never get to talk. They've never seen each other. So like going there was mind blowing, right? Because you'd see these people that you're like, oh my god, I never expected to see you. Like we'd never meet anywhere else, right?
Oh
Except
yeah,
for maybe if we ran
definitely.
into each other at PAX or something.
Right,
And we'd
right.
have to like set up the meetup and do all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, it was like all the spontaneous things of like, and I think that my experience of meeting somebody who was really big watching my channel and somebody that like, I've now been watching the stream a lot and we talk all the time and like I've made a really good friend, like, and I made a lot of good friends there. I think that that's not a unique experience to me.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like everybody came out of that like meeting somebody that they thought like, oh well, I've seen them stream my games sometimes, but they don't watch me, and I'm sure they're too big for me, or I don't really they don't really know who I am, or just different things like that where you don't expect that person to know you, and you meet that person, you see each other, you lock eyes, and they go like, oh, it's you, and you're like, holy crap. You actually know who I like. I feel like that happened all the time because that happened to me with the big Magic streamer too. Because like, I didn't expect him to know exactly who I was because I'm decently large in the Magic community, but I'm not that big, and he's just miles ahead of everybody. Like it's not even close.
Mm-hmm.
The next closest person gets like almost a tenth of his viewers, so he's just in a league of his own as far as that's concerned. And I mean, I happen to be walking past him. He goes, "Hey, stop by, come, Cam. What are you doing? Why did you leave? Like, you know me, right?" And like, yeah, of course I know you. So it's just all that kind of thing where you just didn't expect anybody to know who you were, and everybody knew who you were.
Definitely.
And so it felt like coming home. Like it was a weird feeling for sure.
Yeah, it was. It was really cool. Like it was a very very fun time. And it was really awesome to see like everybody was getting along with everybody, and like yeah, it was like you said, like coming up to somebody and like talking to them about their Twitch channel, and they'll ask your what your Twitch channel is, and it's like oh hey cool, what do you stream and whatnot, and question after question, and like eventually you get to the point where like everybody's chill with everybody at some point. For me, there was a moment during that convention where like, and I'm like you, I don't really fanboy out. I don't really go up to get an autograph or or get a picture with like I'm normally like I'm kind of more handshake thank you for your entertainment, enjoy yourself, I'm that type of person.
Yeah,
But
I mean, if you bug them too much, it always feels like you don't want to be that guy that just follows them around in his stocking. They get so much of that it feels awkward.
yeah,
So I know exactly what you mean.
definitely. But for one moment, like during that convention, I did fanboy out. It was actually, it was kind of in two ways. So the first one was, so I was in line to play Street Fighter Five, and I'm kind of standing there, and then like I look around, and I'm like surrounded by probably the biggest names in the fighting game community, and there was like all surrounding me. I'm like, oh shit, this is awesome. I actually took a picture with one of them and I sent it to my friend. My friend was so jealous. It was great. But the other moment for me, which was more meaningful, so I got into podcasting because of OneUp.com and the podcast One Up Yours with Garnet Lee hosting the podcasting episodes back in the heydays of One Up. And I see him walking around. Oh no, take the hint back. He was looking at the map, and I go up to him. It's like, "Are you Garnet Lee?" He's like, "Yes." It's like, "Holy crap!" I fanboyed out. I was like, "Dude, you're the reason why I got into podcasting." And just I appreciated the work he did and the stuff he did for me, and he was really cool. He was really chill. He was late to get into a panel though, so our conversation was short. But like I fanboyed out for that moment, and I was like, holy crap! I met my idol, my podcast idol. So for that moment, that was really cool. That was really awesome. On top of being able to having these interviews with these other game companies that would never happen like 5 years ago is happening that past weekend. It's like holy crap. I'm talking with the developers of StarCraft 2, and I was like, holy crap! I'm talking to, the developer of Supernova. It's like, wow, this is nuts. This is crazy. So for me, like a lot of new stuff and a lot of stuff that I thought never would happen did happen that weekend. But that was
Yeah,
that was for me. That was for me for sure.
I think that like it kind of seems like we're both saying a lot of the same thing in the way that it seems like there's so much for if you're at all in the industry,
Hmm.
where it's like everybody there was somebody in the industry, whether you knew it or not, they were somebody big in the industry. I was walking to the convention one day and I almost walked one street too far, but the guy in front of me was wearing an Amazon shirt, like as an exhibitor.
Hmm.
And so he turned left, and I went to go straight, and then I went, whoa, wait, just a minute, what? He's going left, so I realized that I was taking the wrong way. So I turned and I started following him, and I'm like, I'm glad that I noticed you had that Amazon shirt, I would have been going the wrong way. And he just started talking to me for a minute, and then he gave me his card, and he's like, the VP of their games division or whatever, like one of their, the big people there, and he's just like, oh yeah, like shoot me a message if you need anything. And he goes, oh, okay, sure. I had no idea who you were. And, but like it was like that. Like it was such a casual way to meet up with these people that like I would never meet like some, vice president of some sub game committee in Amazon if I wasn't just at TwitchCon. Like at PAX or something, those are the exhibitors. They're just kind of like, they're tired and they're in the background. Like they have people on the floor running things like that even, right? Like you wouldn't be able to just meet all those people out in the middle of nowhere, but it really felt like, and like all the major streamers and stuff too, that like you said, like you're just in line for Street Fighter V, and then holy crap, that's like Justin Wong, and that's, like and all the different people that you have there. Like there's Daigo, there's, or whatever. Like you'd be walking around and, past some big streamer that you just had no idea was even there, and it all the time, like just constantly. And it just felt like it was really at home, like, and nobody was like closed off from everybody else. It was just really open about that whole thing. So
Mm-hmm.
it felt like it really did feel like it kind of was an industry thing where it was all the people that were, if you're interested in the industry and doing anything with it, then it was amazing for you. As a fan, I don't know that you would have been able to approach those people in the same way. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
I was gonna say
that's one of the
uh,
things that I wasn't sure about. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say like yeah, from a fan aspect, I'm not quite sure how. I mean, from my at least from my general observation, it seems like everybody was having fun. Fan, streamer, professionals alike. I'm kind of curious to see how the fans' perspective was in terms of how they enjoyed the con, because much of the stuff, if you weren't a streamer, I feel like that convention kind of converted you to become a streamer and seeing like how fun it is and how
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and how
Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah, and how fun it is, and how exactly they can help you, and all this advice you'd be talking to these streamers about you should totally do it. It's a lot of fun. So I felt like for fans who were there, I felt like it was fans, but there were also streamers at the same time.
Yes. Yeah.
And even if there weren't streamers, I felt like the fans might have came away with that saying like, I really want to stream now. Like I want to do what these people do and find a way to make a schedule and create my own brand and start doing my own channel. So if anything, it probably was a way for Twitch to convert even more people to join Twitch.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure, bro. I think that's very true. A lot of people that I talked to there, like you said, if they were on the fence about streaming, they were definitely into streaming after that. They were like, I'm going to start tomorrow. Like, we're going to definitely do that. I think that there was a few people, like I met a few of my fans there because they were in the San Francisco area, so they stopped by. And I heard a few conversations and had a few conversations with people that were just like attending the con just as regular fans. And I did get a fair number of people that were like, well, I don't know, I'm kind of running out of things to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it was a great, but they enjoyed what they did see. They're like, because the atmosphere was just so jovial. It was so happy that it was hard to be upset about anything. But I feel like a fair number of people were kind of like, by the end of the day, they were done. And the 2-day pass, I think, might have been a waste for some of those people. One of my friends came there who is one of the mods on my channel, and he stayed there for most of the day, and he was like, yeah, it's okay. I mean, but we played all the games, and I think that we're just kind of done. And he's like, I guess it's ending soon, so it's not that bad. But, like, he would have not wanted to go the second day. There was no way that you were going to convince him to go for 2-day passes. So he was pretty happy he only had a 1 day. And I think that there's a little bit of that, like the people that were really involved in the Twitch community as fans, but knew that they didn't want to be streaming. Like anybody that was on the fence or even remotely considering it loved it because there was so much information and it really converted you. But if you were like, for sure, like, no, 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 I'm just going to watch people, then I don't know that you got that much out of it beyond the first day. Like there was still a lot of things to do. It was still pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And what was there was really cool, but I don't think there was enough there.
Right.
I think if
right.
they had, and that's what they really mentioned what you had said earlier about like something about like there not being like a LAN area or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were like, man, we played all the games. Like, is this all the games that were there? Like that seemed to be a common thread where they're like, I guess we can go play Paladins again. Like there was like 3 or 4 games that were being showcased, but there was that in the cabinets, and that was it for gaming.
Mm-hmm.
That you could get into as a fan. So it felt like there was definitely like some large gaming room where you could just bring your rig, or they had like rigs set up for people to just join LAN parties or something. That felt like it was missing because those people really they seemed like they were bored about like 3/4 of the way through the day. They were just like, all right, I don't know, is there anything left to do?
Right, definitely. And in due time, I think that TwitchCon will kind of learn from this and maybe something to take forward for next year or the following years. 2 things I want to give before we end the show. First off, shout outs to the Twitch staff. They were very friendly. Every one of them. If you needed help, which I asked a lot about, they were really cool. Did not like discover the fact that there's a VIP area for press and high people alike. And there's one area of the convention I didn't know about, and it's like, oh, hey, they got free food here. Awesome. But like, no, shout outs to them. They were really cool. They're really awesome people. And yeah, definitely enjoyed their time. And then the last thing, since TwitchCon, like, here's the thing. I've heard legends, myths, if you were, of these Twitch parties, and I've never been to one. Now, they hosted one in downtown San Francisco. I can't remember what building it was exactly, but it's right next to the Capitol. Or not the Capitol, but was it the Capitol building?
Yeah. It was right next to the Civic building. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they rented out this big theater building specifically for the Twitch party, and that's where I first met you. And like we're standing in line in the VIP/press line, and we're like, just chilling. We see this huge line that is forming for everybody else on the opposite side of us, stretching to the park and continuing on, and we're like, what the hell?
I'd have gone home and slept. Honestly, if I had been in that other line, I'd have been like, screw this, I'm gone. That line was absurd. We were looking at it across the road, and I remember the people were like, wow, it goes around the block, and then somebody's like, no, look, it goes through the park. And we were like, oh, like, it was just ridiculous. It went so long. Yeah.
It was pretty amazing. But yeah, like we got in, and like the first thing, here's the interesting thing. So I walked in, it's pretty empty. People were starting to file in. The big dance area, like I walk in, there's a big setup for the DJ, huge lights, and off to the sides where bars, people can buy a drink, and relax and chill. And then I walk toward the VIP area, which I was a part of, and I walk in, it's a kind of small room-ish. But that room filled up really quickly, and it was open bar for us, so it was a lot of fun. I can't lie.
Yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. We were right at the front of the line, so I went in and I got my drink right away,
Mm-hmm.
and it took me like 30 seconds to get a drink because the VIP room was really empty at first.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh, this isn't going to be that bad. Like, like 100 some people in here. It's probably not that bad. Like, there's a fairly large room, so you could probably fit like, I don't know, 80 to 100 people in it. The lineup for the bar wouldn't have been that bad. And so I was like, okay, well, this isn't that bad. And so I was just kind of nursing my drink. And I had a flight to catch very early the next morning. I had to get up at 5:30. So I was like, well, I don't know how much I want to, like, drink, but they were free. So I was kind of like, oh, all right, fine. I was kind of nursing my drink. And then I started talking to people, and I was about like 3/4 of the way through my drink. I started looking around, and I went, holy shit, this is like really filled up. My next drink, I thought it would be like, oh, I'll just like go up and get another drink and it'll take me 5 minutes or something. The line won't be that long. Took me like 35 minutes to get my next drink. So
Yeah.
after that, I was like, okay, now you actually have to like finish it quick and get back in line if you want to be drinking. It got really crazy in there.
But people were, we were all having fun. We were, we were all drinking. I remember this one guy comes up from behind me, and is like, just puts his arm around me. He's like, "Hey man, you got to give like the little streamers a chance too." And at that point, I was like, I was giving out business cards. He was asking me, he's like, "Oh, you didn't let me have one?" It's like, dude, ask and you shall receive.
Yeah. That was the most networking that anybody did for sure. That the Twitch parties were where it was at for sure. The streamers that I met beforehand too, a few of them were giving me pointers and stuff because I was like, well, I haven't been to a lot of conventions and different things like that, and they were like, no, oh man, you don't even care about the convention. They're like, don't worry about that. Find parties every night and go to those because that's all that matters. And in a lot of ways, oh man, I did way more networking, met way more people that night than I did throughout the entire convention. Like, I met you there, I met Dead Pine there, I met, at one of the other parties is when I met the other Magic streamers and chatted with them. Like, everybody that I met that was kind of involved in networking kind of things was all through the parties. It was all through the parties. Everybody was just so loose and happy and fun. And I mean, I met people at the main convention too that were the same way, but it was like cranked up to 11 once you went to the party.
Oh yeah, definitely. The one thing I did notice, and there's actually two things. So I kind of came in and out of the VIP area to just check out what's happening in the dance floor when it was more filled up. Nobody was really dancing.
No.
They were either in the upper deck, sitting down, relaxing, or they're in the dance floor and they're like had their phones out and like just like taking pictures or videos of the DJ. And it was kind of odd to see. I find it funny that everybody did come out specifically for the Sandstorm song. Yeah.
And so Darude worked it into like every song that he did just to troll people. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
He was like,
great.
he constantly was like, you get people that would come in, they'd be like, he's playing Sandstorm. You get out there and they're like, oh, he just like played like 30 seconds of it and then switched it into this song. So he was like trying to get people to come out and see him because everybody, like you said, it was so busy in there and the line was so long. And I got on the dance floor and I was like, what? Where did everybody go? Like it was still a big crowd, but for how long the lineup was and stuff, it was not the same.
So,
and I think part of that was I got carted away by security at one point.
Oh.
Because, well, it wasn't for anything bad. Like, I went back into the VIP room.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And I had my camera out. Like, I'd been filming. I'm a photographer. I have video gear. I have camera gear. I brought it all with me because I'm like, there was nothing that said I couldn't. I just started taking photos and filming and doing things like that. I went to go back into the VIP area after I filmed a bunch of the songs. And this lady's like, you can't bring that in here. Just, like, stop me and drag me to the side. And she's like, you got to take that to co-check right now and bring in security in. And I'm like, whoa. And so she was like all over me, and I'm like, all right, I'm sorry. So I got kind of carted away. But while I was there, like kind of in the back, and they were taking me to the coat check just to get all my camera stuff put away, which honestly scared the crap out of me because I had $1,000s of camera equipment.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I don't want to leave this in coat check. So I like gave them a big tip, and they still almost lost my bag.
Wow.
I went down there, and they couldn't find it for like 5 minutes, and I was like having a heart attack. And then we realized it was on the table in front of us.
Oh.
But yeah, they had misplaced it on the table, like for anybody to take. And I just assumed it was somebody else's bag that they were giving it to. But anyways, I got distracted there.
No, it's fine. Like
she was talking about how all these people were bribing their way into the VIP area.
Were really?
Like, oh yeah, like she's like you gotta like try and get all these different, because she was obviously one of the like heads of security, maybe even the head, I don't know, but she seemed fairly important, and she was like, on the radio talking to all these people. She's like, stop getting find out who's taking all these bribes and stop them and all these different things. And oh yeah, like everybody was sneaking in the first 5 minutes that I was in the VIP room. this guy came up to us and started talking and was just chatting, and he looked really shifty and kind of nervous. And I was like, what is he doing? Like, what's going on? Because everybody was so relaxed. And then he's just like, guys, I shouldn't even be here. And he's like showing us his wrist, and we're like, oh, that's cool. And he's like, yeah, I snuck in. And so it was weird. Like, that a lot of people managed to get into the VIP. So the VIP filled up, and I think everywhere else kind of emptied out because of that, because everybody was trying to get into the VIP. So
yeah, definitely. The one other thing I will say, which is interesting that I had, so I'm not sure if you checked out on the other side of the dance floor and the VIP lounge, was this area for people to play. I think it was like Battleborn or some other MMO they were playing. They had PCs set up. They had drinks there as well as food there set up. So if you wanted to play games at the Twitch after party, you could if you wanted to. But I think the reasoning for it felt kind of empty in the dance floor is I was walking around and a lot of other people were just hanging out in the hallways and just talking, and or was just chilling. So it was like people talking in in a casual setting in the hallways. It was people like us who were partying up in the VIP area, and then people were standing taking pictures and videos of Dead doing his thing on stage and nobody really dancing. So it was a combination of a lot of interesting things. But what I will say though is we have lived to tell the tale of the TwitchCon parties.
Yeah, it was a blast. Like, I mean, when we say that it felt empty on the dance floor, that's not to detract from it. It was because there was so much other stuff to do. Like, and it was so interesting to talk to people that who cared about the dance floor. Like, I don't know about you, but when it ended, that was one of the major complaints. Everybody was complaining because they ended at like what, 1 o'clock? Was it 1:30?
Yeah, it was
1
a.m. I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 1 a.m. and everybody was like, why are they closing it? It's way too early. Everybody felt like they should have been there for longer. Every single person that I talked to, like, we were all trying to, like, we were spending as much time in the hall, kind of like slowly walking in front of security to take extra time when we chatted.
Right.
Like, I'm a Cutie Pie was like trying to stay. I remember specifically him because he was behind me, and he like security kind of kept having to like almost shove him forwards, like to keep him moving because he was talking to Trihex.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I saw him. You know what's funny? Okay, so shout out to Trihex, but I find it funny that he was there, and I don't think he drinks, but like I saw him there, and he was like hanging around. I was like, what are you doing here, man? You don't drink. It was still cool to see it though.
Yeah. But like, and they were being kind of like they were being like pushed out slowly, and they were kind of like trying to talk to each other and just they were doing like some business deal or something. I overheard a little bit of it just because they were right behind me, and they kept on just like, just give us a minute, man. Like they were trying to like work something out, and the security's just like, no, you have to leave the building. So everybody felt like they were really rushed out. The most important thing I learned though from the Twitch after party was that apparently everybody that likes Twitch, whether they be streamers or whatever, likes rum and coke.
Was that the main, like, cause like I'm a rum and coke guy, but was that the main like drink everybody drank?
The bartender at one point when I went up to get a drink, because I went to get rum and coke, the bartender she like leaned in and she goes, okay, is there some code that I'm missing? She's like, because I have served literally nothing but rum and cokes tonight. And the next time I went to get a drink, I was like, rum and coke, and she's like, we are all out of rum. And I'm like, okay. And I tried to like get like a vodka and coke or something. She's like, we are out of coke. And I was like, are you kidding? She's like, no, we have full bottles of everything else, but we're totally out of rum and coke.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, every single person there was drinking a rum and coke. She was like, I've never seen anything like this. I bartend here and other places all the time at big events. I've never seen anybody that drank so many rum and cokes. What is going on? I don't understand. Like, is there just something I'm missing? Is it like a joke or something? And I'm like, no, I don't know. So apparently everybody into Twitch drinks rum and cokes.
Yeah, I'm liking that already. Because like for me, rum and coke was my first drink. And it's always the tribe and true. And I've had other drinks before. I just find it funny that was the drink that everybody apparently loves to drink at Twitch.
Yeah, I had no idea until the bartender, like, she actually stopped me when I was ordering it. She goes, okay, I just don't understand all at this point. She's like, what is going on? She's like, you seem like a nice guy. Is there a joke here? And I was like, not as far as I know. Like, a lot of people order rum and coke. She's like, nothing but. So it was,
Wow.
yeah, lots of rum and cokes apparently.
That's hilarious, but that's also awesome at the same time.
It was a weird night. So
Hmm.
everybody, I think there's a lot of after parties because a lot of people were trying to like organize different groups of people to go off to other places. I went home and crashed. I don't know what you did. I needed to get up in 3 hours.
Right,
So
right. I mean, like,
I
let's see. I think at that point I was pretty good. Like, after I got out, I went and bought a bacon hot dog from this woman that was making them on the side in front of the building just to get some food in me. And then I called an Uber over and I just went back to the place I was staying at, and it just crashed. And then woke up the next morning. It's like, oh, I have a headache now. But no, it was overall TwitchCon for me. It was fun. There were some things I felt where they could have made better. That again, like, the only thing I feel like was missing was just like some area for people to bring in their own consoles or PCs to like play games and have maybe their own tournaments, or maybe even like have like their own tournaments set up for streaming at the con, because like that's kind of what they did sort of, but not really. But aside from that, like it was a very interesting experience, and I'm kind of curious to see how next year is going to be, and if what changes they'll make or what things I may add or take away. So it was cool. It was a lot of fun.
yeah, I just have to I just resoundingly say everything that you just said. It exactly hit all the points. I I think that I had more fun. Like everything, there was a few things like you said that were lackluster where I felt like they could have had more content or maybe like been more clear at the start what the focus of it would be,
Hmm.
because I wasn't sure that they communicated that clearly. And like you said, just have like an area where you could play games, because I'm sure that there's streamers that would have come out and played with their fans and would have loved doing that.
Hmm.
And there just was nowhere to do anything like that. So it was just weird that way. So that seemed like a huge oversight. But yet, at the time, it didn't seem to matter because it was just so much fun.
Hmm.
Like, just because the community was so good. Like, I feel like the community overrode how all of those, there was a bunch of negatives, and it felt like nitpicking almost, just because the community was just so happy to be there and see everybody. So yeah, it was kind of neat. It was a really neat con. I was absolutely not going to go to the first one, and I kind of poked fun at it a little bit because I'm like, TwitchCon, like, what are you going to do? Just like meet streamers for 5 minutes and then you're done? And then I went there, and I'm totally converted. Now, next year I have to like plan out and budget, and now I'm like, oh man, how am I going to pay for TwitchCon next year? Because now I have to go. Like, I feel obligated because it was just way too cool. It was a lot of fun. I was stunned at how much fun I had.
Hmm. Hmm. Agreed. Agreed. Well, this is the end of the show. Thank you, Cameron, for joining me to talk everything TwitchCon.
And
Um,
thanks again for having me. It was great. I loved meeting you at TwitchCon, and it was a lot of fun to do the podcast. It was great reminiscing about all of the different things that happened. There's a lot of stories that came out of that for sure.
oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Before we go, where can they find you on the internet?
Oh yeah, I plug myself. I'm on Twitch at Ilion TV, which is like a little bit of name regret because everybody's like, okay, so how do I spell that? It's Ilyon TV. Because incredibly enough, somebody else had already taken Ilion, so I had to add the TV on the end of it. So as much as it's like nobody knows how to spell it, apparently somebody else is already using it. But yeah, I had to fight over that. But that is my Twitch handle. I have my Twitter as well, where I post up like everything that I'm doing on the stream and things like that. I have some YouTube side projects that I'm starting up soon as well. So they can follow me there at Ilion MTG. So same thing, but it's instead of TV, it's MTG. Because again, somebody had already taken my name. But that's where I'm at. So thank you.
Awesome. You can follow me personally on Twitter at Defective Naruto. You can follow the work that I do, as well as this podcast on our website at missionstartpodcast.com. Much of the TwitchCon coverage is on our site. A lot of videos that I took and edited. A lot of time that took me. It's also on our YouTube channel as well. It's youtube.com/missionstartpodcast1. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much about it. We will have future coverage of Kamikaze coming up, as well as other conventions. I think we had maybe one or two, but it's dying down. End of the year, and it's coming to the point where like now it's relaxed time and then working on costumes for many people out there. But yeah, that's gonna do it for me. Yeah, TwitchCon is very fun. So until next time.